I see creativity, for me personally, as a form of therapy. Sister Octopi is basically, it's an artistic correspondence between London and Dubai. So it's been really interesting kind of working at a distance between two different countries. It's informed a lot of the project. The idea is for people to wander through the installation and just want to spark a feeling of wonder. My name is Natalya Konforti. I'm French-American, and I moved to Dubai a little under 2 years ago after living in China, before that in France, before that the US. So like a lot of people in Dubai, I'm kind of citizen of the world. That's one thing that I really enjoy about this city, is meeting people that have as diverse backgrounds as I do. I originally studied fashion design, and so when I moved to Dubai, I started my company Glitches and Stitches, which is basically all about promoting the value of artisanal craftsmanship. So Sister Octopi is a project that I started with my cousin Justine Formentelli, and basically it's an artistic correspondence between London and Dubai. Justine is based in London. She's an abstract painter. With about 20 years experience. She's shown her work all over. And I'm obviously based here in Dubai, so it's been really interesting kind of working at a distance between two different countries. It's informed a lot of the project. So it's a conversation. It's meant to be kind of a growing series of threads. We each create artwork that responds to the others, and there's a back and forth that's really interesting. So the octopus we saw as kind of a totem for our family and our lifestyles, because it's just such a wonderfully weird and alien creature. It's like basically as far as you can get from humans, and we both spent most of our lives living abroad, so we're used to kind of feeling like aliens. I don't know, the octopus was an animal that appealed to us through its weirdness, and when we got to researching it, we kept finding out like all of these like insane things. Like an octopus has 9 brains, 1 in its head, but then 1 in each tentacle. So tentacles can actually have different personalities, which I think is just the coolest thing. Imagine if like my left hand was super outgoing and then my right hand was shy. An octopus can actually have that, have a curious tentacle that will venture out, and then have like a shy one that kind of stays behind. They have amazing camouflage abilities, which, you know, living abroad, camouflage is kind of like what we're doing, you know, melting into the surrounding atmosphere. There's a lot of research that goes into each tentacle. Actually, we work on the tentacles by pair. So per theme, there are 2 tentacles, and they can seem kind of vast. For example, one of them is mountains, and seems very general, but we thought a lot ahead of time about what we wanted to say with the mountains. It was, they're meant to be, on one hand, an obstacle and kind of, you know, a barrier that you need to overcome, but then it's also like a really beautiful barrier and a challenge that you can overcome. So we like to kind of balance both sides. At the very beginning, actually, we wanted to do something very different than what it ended up being. We wanted to work in layers. So we thought that we would start off with 1 layer around like the theme blood, for example, and that she would paint a background and send me a scan of it, and then I would add a layer somehow onto her work, and then she would add another layer. But we found out after a few trials that actually it was difficult to add more than 2 or 3 layers, and it was really important for us for this project to be a conversation. We really wanted it to go back and forth several times to get like a full idea, a full conversation, a full thread. So when she came here, actually, we kind of were thinking about what kind of format we could do. we didn't want to be dependent on the post office because I was really concerned about losing momentum, and also we don't have postal addresses here, so that was a particular difficulty. I think sometimes not being able to do just anything, but having certain constraints can really inform your work in an interesting way. So it's been a good exercise. We've actually enlisted a bunch of our family members as what we dubbed them as tentacle mules. A mule because they're bringing things across borders. When we have to bring the actual artwork and not the scan to one another, we give them to a family member that we know is going to be visiting the other person. When we work on our project, the sister octopi, whenever we have a call, we call it a Skype-topi. And when we're playing around with ideas for what we can do with the tentacles, we call it octopying around. So Justine, we always kind of felt like we had a special bond because we actually share the same birthday. We're both born on May 16th, but 13 years apart. When I was, 12, 13 years old, she came to visit my family in Florida, and my mom decided that spending the week painting with my cousin was more important than going to school that week. So I stayed home for a whole week and we just painted by the pool, and it's a really fond memory of mine. I see creativity, for me personally, as a form of therapy. There's a lot of research that backs it up, actually, that kind of getting out of your own mindset, kind of just letting your ideas flow, whether it's journaling or embroidering or doing sculpture, whatever it is that kind of gets your creative juices flowing and gets you into that kind of mental state of flow is, I think, really important to process emotions. One of our theme is roots, and we were thinking about roots in the traditional way of your family roots and being anchored into one place, but then also about other kinds of roots that you can have. For example, language is one of the one that really jumped to our mind, since we're not really rooted down in one place, or thinking what else kind of roots us to our culture and to our family, to our origins. And language, I think, is something that's common, obviously, between all humans, and also a really interesting way of comparing our different heritages. The idea is for people to wander through the installation and just want to spark a feeling of wonder. Kind of like you're in Alice in Wonderland, and everything is maybe you don't quite necessarily understand everything, but that's okay, because you can get this feeling of when you're a child and you're discovering something, and everything is new and exciting, and you kind of wonder, why is this like this? And I want people to ask questions and to kind of just get lost in this imaginary landscape. I think it's kind of like it's the landscape of our collective imagination in a way.